In the fourth part, we have the Account Protector panel, which consists of 7 different tabs. In each tab, we can set various restrictions for our trades in this section. To access this panel, go to the Money Management tab from the main panel, and here, by clicking on the AP or Account Protector option, the panel will be displayed for us. The Account Protector panel allows prop traders to set restrictions on their trades. This panel is a specialized tool that is essential for trading discipline and sticking to your trading plan, and it helps prevent consecutive losses caused by greed or revenge trading in the market. The first tab of this panel is the Volume tab, where you can set the maximum trade entry size, the maximum total trade entry volume in a single day, the number of daily trades, the maximum consecutive losses and profits in a day, the maximum trade execution volume in a week, the maximum number of trades in a week, and finally, the maximum consecutive losses and profits in a week, and apply restrictions for each of these. The first option relates to the maximum trade entry volume, which is set by default to 0.1 lot. If we want to enter a trade and our entry volume exceeds the set limit, the expert advisor will not allow us to proceed and will display a warning message telling us that the position size has exceeded the allowed limit. If I set this volume, if I reduce it and set it below the volume limit, or set it exactly at the entry volume limit, the trade will be executed for me on the chart. The next section is related to the maximum total trade entry volume in a single day. Here we can enter a value so that if our trade entry volumes exceed this limit during the day, it won't allow us to enter any more trades. By default, this number is set to 1 lot. To make sure other restrictions aren't applied to us, I'm going to change the restriction values. Here, the maximum trade volume allowed in a single day is set to 1 lot. If I try to enter a trade with a volume greater than this limit in 1 day, the expert advisor won't allow it and will display a warning message. In this message, it tells me that the position size has exceeded the daily limit, and if I set a number lower than the restriction, I can easily execute a buy or sell trade in the market. The next section relates to the maximum number of daily trades. In this section, we can set the maximum number of trades we are allowed to execute in a single day. Here, I enter the number 1, and if I execute more than 1 trade on the chart, the expert advisor will warn me and display a message indicating that the number of positions has exceeded the allowed daily limit. However, if the number of my trades is less than the limit I set here, the trade will be executed for me. The next option relates to the maximum consecutive losses and maximum consecutive profits, where we can set a limit here. If the number of our consecutive losses reaches this limit, it will not allow us to execute any more trades. Or if the number of consecutive profits exceeds this amount, it will not allow us to enter a new trade. Here I enter the number 1, and if I have 1 losing trade, it will not allow me to execute a second trade here, and a warning message will be displayed in this section stating that the number of consecutive daily losses has exceeded the allowed limit. However, if my losses are less than the amount I set here, I can execute a trade here. The next option relates to the maximum daily trading volume, where we can set a limit for it here. There is also the maximum weekly trading volume, where we can set a restriction on the volume of trades that can be executed over the course of a week. For example, here I enter the number 1 lot, and if I try to execute more trades than this amount within a week, a warning message will be displayed to me, informing me that the trading volume has exceeded the allowed weekly limit. In the next section, we can also set the maximum number of trades within a week. Here, I set the number to 3. For example, during 1 week, I'm only allowed to execute 3 trades. And if I execute more than this number of trades within a week, a warning message will be displayed to me, and it will prevent me from entering a trade. And in this section, it tells me that the number of positions has exceeded the allowed weekly limit. And if the number of my trades is below the limit, I can easily execute a buy or sell trade on my chart. The last 2 options are related to the maximum consecutive losses and maximum consecutive profits within a week. And if I reach the limit that I set in this section, it won't allow me to enter any more trades. For example, I set the number of consecutive losses in a week to 3. And if I want to enter a trade and my number of consecutive losses is equal to or greater than the limit I set, and my consecutive losses reach the set limit, it won't allow me to enter any more trades and will display a warning message indicating that the number of weekly consecutive losses has exceeded the allowed limit. The same applies to the number of consecutive wins as well. Well, friends, we've reached the end of this part of the tutorial. We would be happy if you shared your comments and suggestions with us in the comment section.